Welcome to, excuse me, welcome to the voyage of the naughty knots. K-N-O-T-S, a knot. A naughty knot is a knot out of which you cannot get. A regular knot you can untie. You can get a manual on how do I untie this knot. Find an expert. Tell you how to untie the knot. You find a Boy Scout. Knots can be untied. We believe that. In our modern world, our scientific world, there is nothing science cannot untie. Eventually, with enough computers, we'll know everything. There will be no more knots. But a naughty knot won't untie. The more we tie it, the tighter it gets. This is the naughty knot of myth. You see, we have, when I went to, got my BA in English, got a BA in English literature. And the study of English literature, this was back in 1960, but the study of literature is the study of mythology, because English literature was reference to Greek mythology. The writers of English literature, no matter which century, all referred to the myths of the stories of the Greeks. And so these stories were like the reference that gave what they were writing understanding, meaning, and context. Myth was alive. Myth was not fantasy. Myth was the narrative of your life that held all the experiences and data together. Without a story, we're just in a snowstorm of data, experiences that mean nothing. That's what happens when we go to the ward and one flew over the cuckoo's nest. The patients in the ward had no reference to anything outside the ward. Their whole reality was inside the ward, so they couldn't leave. And Nurse Ratchet was the Maya that held their story together. She created the illusion and the belief that you couldn't leave the ward. Just like Catholic Church created the belief that you couldn't leave the church. It was hell and damnation out there if you left the church. And this myth of hell and damnation is going on today, but we've thrown out the ancient myths. We threw it out with the bathwater of the Catholic Church. And now we're, as Joseph Campbell said, in free fall. We have no story, universal stories or myths that hold our civilizations together. So the great myths, like the Catholic Church was a myth that lasted 1,000 years. 1,000 years that held European minds together and made sense out of reality. And then when that myth was shattered, and there was a reformation, a scientific reformation, a Protestant reformation, there was the myth of the absolute individual. See, when the myth of the Catholic Church died, the absolute was God. And when the church was thrown out, the absolute became your conscience. You could find God by reading the Bible, said the Protestants. You don't need a church. You are the arbiter. And science threw out the Bible and said, you determine what's true through science, through evidence. But the point is, this was the birth of the unique individual self that exists alone in the cosmos. This is the ego. This is the sense of self that didn't exist before the 17th century. This is a creation of the modern world. We think that this self ego existed all the time. No, it didn't exist before the birth of Protestantism and science, you see. So the self itself, the belief that I am a separate, unique person located in this body, in time, in history, is a myth. It's a story. But we can't say it's not real, but we can say it's not the only story. It's not the greatest story. And so when this myth that I'm unique and special is shattered, which is happening all the time, we have a crisis and a rebirth. We have a death and a rebirth. The myth dies, the assumption that I know what everything is, the assumption that I know what's real, the assumption that what I know is reality, the assumption that my personal self is real, and it will have a beginning in time and will end in time. That's a myth believed in. It doesn't mean that it means that it shapes the way we see reality. And it's necessary to function in our society today. This myth of the separate self is necessary, because if you don't use that myth like a costume, you'll end up in the ward. You won't know who you are, or you'll be dependent upon the ward, or you'll believe you're Jesus or Napoleon. You'll adopt another myth. You know, like can't think of that. What's that TV show never mind. But believing a movie character is real puts there are many people in the ward. I'm Superman. I'm the X-Man. Adolescents believe the X-Men are real, but at the back they know they're not real. They pretend they're real. Barbie, the movie Barbie, was about the belief that we're dolls, that we're living in Barbie land, and we're not real humans. So the whole movie was about the doll waking up to being a real human. It was a great movie. So this whole myth, say the myth of Buddha. Buddha is a myth to wake up by. Many of our movies are movies to wake up by. So as Joseph Campbell said in Creative Mythology, the myths we cling to today are movies and art. These are the new myth makers. But the problem is they're all fragmented. Pick a movie. I like it. Oh, that's a good movie. Go on. I got some insights from that. Move on. What's the next movie? We go from movie to movie. The ancient myths didn't change. The myths of the gods, of the Greek gods and other cultures, were universally the same. They didn't change for 1,000 years. So everybody had the same reference. But now, we all have different movies to reference to. You may reference to The Sixth Sense. That's a movie about waking up, but it's not universal. It's just one movie in a multiplex of movies. So we watch it. It's interesting. Talk about it. Move on. Move on. That's what happens when the great myths are fragmented into broken myths, many myths. They just keep changing. We just keep moving from myth to myth, from movie to movie. We never find home. We never find rest. Thanks for dropping in. Subscribe and save and kick this down the road.